Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, gang? Apologies for the not as good audio as normal. But this is as good as I can do today. All of my stuff is in 3 different houses in 2 different countries at the moment. Got my nice camera, but I'm using my MacBook mic through some nice plugins and a noise gate, so hopefully we're good. Yeah, think it seems fine. Good sound is good. Yeah, it's pretty good what you can do with a MacBook mic these days. Look, I've got the noise gate going on, so cuts out some of the fan noise when I'm not speaking. Compressor, yeah, definitely gonna do for a nice breakdown of In My Arms. It's a little out of sync. Oh, let's address that. Let's address that situation. Are we ahead or behind? What are we saying? At the moment, I've got 200 milliseconds of behind, so let me give you a little clap. One more time. Nice shirt, thank you. I think it's Sandro. I love Sandro. Perfect, pretty bang on, in sync. Did you downgrade from your 6K Intel Mac? No, it's the same Mac. Rest in peace headphones for me. Huh. Perfect, in sync. All right, good. We good. What's been going on, people? I'm handsome, says nerd. Thanks. I'm a hit with the nerds. What you guys been up to? I want to say a big shout out to Lee Buzz and Sydney. I think we all saw that very heartwarming post. I never thought when I set up the Discord and Twitch that it would become a dating service, but here we are. So, fuck yeah. No, I'm really happy for you guys, man. That's awesome. I told Emily that, and Howard, and I think my mum knows as well. Shout out Disclosure's mum, aka Disclosure Pics. Yeah, I knew the whole time. God, it was hard to keep it a secret. And everyone was very heartwarmed by the news, so yeah, you guys are cute as fuck. Hype train, great. Shouts to Nocturnal Caracal for the donations, for the subscriptions, sorry. Very kind, very kind. If anyone else feels like subscribing, donating, whatever you want to do, please feel free. Yeah, I haven't been as frequent on the channel recently. I've been moving house a lot. So I sound nasally. Yeah, I probably will because it's the MacBook mic. Yeah, I moved house a lot. We moved, oh God, I've moved like 5 times in the last year, but we're settled now. We're back in LA. This is my manager's house where I've done a bunch of streams from before. And I now live 3 minutes down the road in Laurel Canyon. So I am hyped. Got a place, renting a place for a year. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time out in Laurel Canyon and LA. I wanted to stay in Miami, but the market is just mental at the moment. It's like 150% up. So it's just a waste of money to be there right now. Thank you, Van, for the donations, for the subscriptions. You're super kind. I would give you a clap and a meow, 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 but I haven't got my stream deck. So words will have to do. Oh, Effin says, you met Howard the other day. Most humble guy ever, man. Had a good chat. Sick. Good to hear it. Where is that bastard? I haven't seen him in ages. Van's going in. Yeah. She's always just very kind. I sound nasally. Yeah, sorry. I mean, maybe I can EQ it a bit different. I really can't be bothered, to be honest. Hello, friend within. How's it going? The matchmaker. Yeah, apparently so. Beatmaker. Matchmaker also now. Very cool. Since when have you been streaming? If you mean today, like 5 minutes. If you mean overall, about a year now. Over a year. Yeah, I used to stream a lot more frequently, but what with everything opening back up and shows starting again and moving house across continents, it's been, there's been a lot to do. Excuse me. So, yeah, I'm just doing the occasional breakdown at the moment. Jesus, go on, fam. Get in there. Very kind. Yeah, just doing the occasional stream at the moment, making sure you guys still have some content going on and learning some shit. And oh, I better stop that tune. Definitely going to get ripped for that one. Yeah, just making sure that you know, I like doing the breakdowns because they end up on YouTube. You know, people put them out. Like Soul State do a great job at editing these down. So shouts to Soul State. I think a lot of people are getting a lot of info and tips from that. So that's fucking great. Friend with him was in Studio City last week, not far from me. Yeah, it's like 5 minutes from here, bro. Where you at? Are you still in LA? You around? I'm actually leaving on Thursday. I'm going to Mexico for a show. And then from Mexico, I'm going to Chicago for Thanksgiving. I'm not going to do any streams over this Thanksgiving. I'm going to leave my stuff here. I'll probably, and then after that, I'm going back to the UK. So I'll probably do a few streams like early December in my like London home studio. And then probably take a couple weeks off over Christmas time. Maybe I'll do a Christmas stream. I don't know. I'm going to be in Chicago again for Thanksgiving. So I don't know if I'll have my setup. I might have a basic setup like this that I can kind of throw together with headphones. We'll see. Nothing crazy like last time. I just can't be bothered to take all my stuff around. I've done so much moving recently. It's just, oh. But you need a Market Monday before 2022. Fair enough. Maybe we can probably do that because making beats for me is harder. But maybe we'll do like more of a fun one where it's just a really basic sample from me singing or beatboxing or something like that I can just do on the road. Something like that. Yeah, we'll do one. How are you keeping up a relationship with your traveling lifestyle? I just take her everywhere I go. She just comes along. Actually, that's not true. I was in the UK doing shows by myself. We basically have a rule where we don't like to go longer than 2 or 3 weeks max with, apart. And then other than that, we're just together the whole time. So, yeah. Reading 2022, I doubt it because we just headlined it like this year. So they don't like to do repeat headliners. Definitely some UK festivals though. Boardmasters is already announced, I believe. And there is 2 more to be announced. So yeah, but I can't say just yet. New Year's Eve run down the East Coast has been announced. So East Coast family, if you're around. Yeah, we'll be doing, I think it's Montreal, DC, Atlanta on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, and then Miami on New Year's Day. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. Guy, I was at Abbey Road the other day. Amplify Festival thingy. You were recently there with Niall Rod. Oh, it wasn't recent. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. I was there with Niall and Anderson .Paak. We just had a jam, pretty much. Yeah, just set up some instruments in the live room. We just literally played. It was great. You guys deserve a headline. You guys deserve a headline slot at Glasgow 2022. Yeah, I mean, agreed. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but agreed. Give it to us. Warehouse Project was unreal. Yeah, shouts to everyone who came to Warehouse Project. That was so fun. I had the best time. That venue, that crowd was fucking epic. So, yeah, shouts to everybody who was there. Wildlife 2022, yeah, that would be fun. I don't think it's going to happen though. Yeah. How did you make the chainsaw-esque synth sound for the intro of your live shows before the walk-in? Sounds class. Thanks, man. It was just a load of like crazy synth sound design stuff. I was just like going through presets on Pigments. I used a lot for it, like really aggressive bass sounds, and I just like would hit a single key and mess with something, and I recorded me jamming through it a lot. And then I took a few sample packs off of Splice too, like I don't even know what it was called, like mad sound design, like film music effects basically, and I just sort of placed them. I basically like I exported a version of White Noise, resaved it, and just completely redid the whole intro, so that it sort of seamlessly fades into White Noise. Because the live show, the intro and White Noise is all one file, because we walk in, you know, I get front of house to trigger the pressing play of the song. So they press play on the intro into White Noise, and then we walk on and start to mix into FU, and I do a bunch of drumming and, you know, DJ basically. But the song itself is kind of like pre-made with that intro built in, which I just made last summer before Reading. We just knew I knew we needed something fucking hype to come back to after this pandemic bullshit. So yeah, went super in on the sound design and made a huge intro. And it's got Sergeant Pokes doing all the talking. The speech is Sergeant Pokes, who used to be the kind of hype man for Magnetic Man, Scream, Benga, this kind of thing. I used to do this night called Croydub, which was like a dubstep night in Croydon, which I went to a few times. Yeah, he's done stuff. He's done loads of stuff for like Mala, you know, DMZ. Money. Sick guy. So yeah, a little ode to dubstep, the dubstep crew from early days with that intro. When we have all your equipment together again, probably in London. Yeah, it's all in London. Oh, you're home now from an event. All good. Oh, it's sick. You were working with Chris. Nice. Yeah, I know he's in Studio City. Cool. I hope you guys made some good shit. Do you know the Stora? Are you a fan of Stora? Yeah, I actually know those guys. I used to do free running and parkour when I was a teenager. And I'm from Surrey. They're from Horsham, which is in Surrey. Is Horsham in Surrey? Maybe. It's near Surrey. And I would just see them around a bit. Specifically Josh. Josh from Stora. He's from Red Hill, where I'm from. So we used to train together all the time. And then I stopped and did music, and they carried on, and it's fucking sick that they made it, man. Like when we were all teenagers, we were all dreaming of trying to do parkour for a living, and then I realized I was good but not great, so I stopped and did music because I was like, I think I'm better at music. Thank fuck I did that. But they carried on, and they've actually nailed it. Like they are the #1 group, the #1 most popular parkour group on YouTube, I would say. There's another guy called Dom, like Dom Tomato, the Australian guy, who I follow too. He's probably the biggest individual athlete, and then they're the biggest team. So it's so sick that they've nailed it. I think my brother and Drew from Stora as well, used to be friends when they were like tiny kids. I think our mums were mates. So yeah, we actually go way back, and we were all sort of friends through doing it for a bit because we were just really young, like at the time, for doing parkour. Most people doing parkour were in their like 20s, and we were like 15, 14 or something. So yeah, it's like half a life ago. Crazy. Half my life ago. But yeah, we used to do it together. It's good fun. I miss it actually. Everyone has their like teenage sport, you know, skateboarding, BMXing, mountain biking, or whatever it is, blading. I was super into parkour and gymnastics. Bit niche. Tim Sheaf is awesome as well. Yeah, shouts to Tim. Sussex. Is it in Sussex? Yeah. Mad hearing Red Hill, Godstone, Bletchingley. Yeah, well, we made Settle in Bletchingley in our dad's auction house in the roof. So it's a tiny little village in Surrey, and that is where we made our first album. So that was, yeah, good times. All right, guys. So yeah, as you can probably tell from the title, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of, well, not quick, like a thorough breakdown of In My Arms. Should be all good on the latency. It's definitely pushing my CPU still. I don't know why all these old projects. I think since I updated my Mac, like I bounced out the Never Enough EP and then basically updated my Mac, and then since then all my older projects, the ones that are finished anyway and that are really like CPU and intensive, are pretty fucked now. That's why I never update during working on a project. This is also not an M1 MacBook, so maybe that's why. Starting new projects, it's fine, but yeah, stuff that if I started a project on the old version of Logic, you know, and then updated it and updated my Mac, it usually screws it up. But we should be good. I've got probably about an hour and a bit to spend on this, and that'll be that. Rate your piano skills from 1 to 10. 1, definitely. It's not my thing. Do you do any martial arts? I do not, no. Howard does, though. I believe he does a bit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Don't know if he's still doing it. He's getting into it, at least. Is the tour finally announced? There are European dates out, and New Year's Eve dates are out. More to come soon. Have you ever considered doing a disclosure plugin? Yeah, definitely. Haven't got one in mind yet, though. I just need to think of what it would do. So I would do it if the right thing came around. Are you planning on doing a song with Sade? I'd love to, but Sade's just not around. So no. Did you get a haircut? Not recently, no. Like, just ages ago. Maybe like, I don't know, like a month ago, 6 weeks ago. Did you mix and master your first album? Yes, I've mixed every Disclosure song that has ever been made. And I master it. I usually master with my mastering engineer. So I go to the mastering studio and we kind of do it together. Stuart Hawkes at Metropolis. But don't focus too much on the master. Like, no disrespect to mastering engineers, but it's like, it's the final 5%. I think it's very strange how much of an interest there is in the industry of who mastered your song. That's why it sounds so great. It's like, not really. Like, if your mix is shit, your master will just make a shit mix very loud. It's not as important. It is important, like, yeah, no disrespect. Like, what Stuart does is fucking precise, and I could never do it by myself. Like, the shit he can hear in the subtlest differences is very amazing. But like, if you like the mix and the sound and the punch and the loudness of Settle, let's say, yeah, it's, the master is not everything. It's definitely overhyped. I think it's because people like to use it as a marketing tool. You know, people say like, new, I don't know, 40th anniversary of Pet Sounds by the Beach Boy, remastered. It's like, if you listen to the remastered version and like the stereo version, let's say, or even the mono version, like, it's not that different. If it's remixed, it can be a huge difference. But yeah, don't get too hung up on, if someone mastered that song, I should pay them to do it too, and then it'll sound just as good. It's not true, man. It's not true. A mastering engineer usually just runs your shit through some beautiful analog gear, kisses it with everything, gives it a bit of EQ, very slight compression, some tubes, some saturation, puts a limiter on it. And then the main thing they do nowadays is export all the correct files. One for Apple, one for Spotify, one for Atmos. Like, there's so many exporting of shit to do. It's more like crazy admin, which I don't know how to do. You know, each platform needs their own gain structure. They need their own LUFs. They need their own like file type. That stuff, I don't know what I'm doing. So that's just my opinion. Where do you master your song? Stuart Hawkes at Metropolis, London. We should really put a link to that in the chat, actually, guys, if you wouldn't mind, Jordan. Gets asked a lot. I think that's the last time I should probably reply. Would you do a music video with Stora doing it? Yeah, 100%. I've already sort of spoken about that. They did use our song in one of their videos once, so that was kind of like the first collab. But yeah, I would love to have them in a music video. It'd be sick. Okay. I'm going to start the breakdown side of things now. So let's do it. Try and be all official too. Okay, today guys, we are going to break down In My Arms off of our EP Never Enough. This came out a couple months ago now, I feel like. And I would say In My Arms has been the most popular tune in terms of the reaction. You guys seem to like it the most. This and Never Enough. We already broke down Never Enough a couple of weeks ago. So let's get into this one. Here it is. So that's the project for In My Arms. See if I can make it so you guys can see. It's about as small as it can go. Yeah, got some hidden tracks here. Got a lot of vocals down the bottom here. It's very similar layout and vibe to Never Enough. Howard on the lead vocals. Choir bedded in underneath it, backing him up. So very, you know, almost the same sort of structure, voicing wise as Never Enough, with the ladies doing some of the high harmonies, backing up Howard's falsetto. I think it's a 6-part choir, so there's some guys and girls in there. Very rich harmonies in this song, so I'm gonna do like all of the vocals separately, because yeah, this red down here is basically them all grouped together on this bus. We've also got some drum buses up here to look at. Pretty similar vibe to Never Enough again, to be honest, like some percussion loops. The whole thing is based around this this one kind of really crunchy old drum machine. I think the drum machine was called like Powerhouse or Power Bank or something, I forget now. But Andy Luxury gave me a folder, shouts to Andy Luxury, of this old crunchy drum machine thing that he just found recently. And when we were at the Roundhouse making all of the beats to this, that was one of the key drum machine loops that we were playing with. So I think originally I threw it into Serato Sampler, chopped it up a bit, bounced it out, and then that's the loop you see. So this isn't like the loop it came with off the bat. It's a very like chopped up version. Don't think I've still got the Serato Sampler file to show you, but yeah, it's pretty simple. You got some shakers, we got whatever. We got some choppy uppy like vocal samples, which I can't remember where I got them from, but yeah, they're all kind of doing their thing, just going like and some breaths and shit. those are being bussed out separately. Yeah. So anyway, and then a big, huge bass line, like massive bass, which was I think it was a Juno, but it could have been Andromeda. It was either a Juno 106 or an Andromeda. So yeah, the tune's at 126.3 BPM. Can't remember why we did the 0.3. I think it just felt right. There was no real reason for it to not be 126, but I think it just felt a bit lackluster, and 127 felt too fast, so we went with 126.3. Nice number, but that is actually what it is. Yeah. Guy, address this now. Oh yeah, you mean the BPM? Yeah, sorry. That just is what it is, man. I don't know why. It just felt 126 felt a bit slow. Simple as that. All right, so I think we will take it from the drums, seeing as that's what sort of starts the song. So yeah, up first is this percussion loop here. So you can kind of hear the chops of like, so I'm basically holding it down and letting it play and then resetting the loop each time and then jumping to another part of the loop. So that's how it came to be. I've got a lot of plugins on here, so I will just, let me bypass all of the ones on the master out as well, so we get a totally clean sound. I should probably just let this tune play actually first before we get into this. Yeah, let me just give you a quick blast of In My Arms so you know what we're talking about. For those who haven't heard it, I'll just take you to the drop. Yeah, so hopefully you guys know that one. If not, it's out now. Disclosure, In My Arms. And we're going to break it down. So starting from the top of the tune comes in with just drums. Some crazy like synth sounds as well. So yeah, here's the percussion loop. Played this in with Serato Sampler. So it's like, yeah, did like a bit of reversing and stuff, I think. Yeah, it's a little different. Some here and there, like I've put in a few, little reverses and little details, but that's the backbone of the tune. That just rolls the whole way through and just really keeps this like kind of, it's quite tribal, but it's not actually got any like bongos or djembes or anything. I think it is just a tom and the big cowbell. But there's something about that like doom, doom, that not only sets the key of the song, because we were paying attention to that doom, making sure that we were, not going to write in a clashing key with that note. And it just sort of sets the temperature of this really rolling vibe. That what I was really thinking of with this song when we started the beat, me and Andy, Luxury, was that it was immediately sounding like something that would come out on Graded, but Midland's label. And funnily enough, I sent this to Midland and he fucking loved it. So I was really pleased with that because I was definitely aiming at that kind of, I don't know what you call it. There's an aesthetic about Midland's tunes and that Graded label, not Regraded, that's the disco one, but like Archive by Midland and a few others like that just have this temperature, and it's always usually because of the drums that are doing something. It's it's weird. I've not been able to make a tune as on point as this one since or before, so yeah, I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. But then obviously Howard layered it with gospel harmonies and choir and just took it to a whole nother dimension. So by itself, just the drums and the bass line, for me, this, you could easily be in a massive rave listening to Midland. It's just just got that feel, you know. Yes, Van, thank you. Please stop spending all your money on subs. But no, you are the best. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind. Okay, so yeah, here's the percussion loop. I'm going to take off all the plugins on the drum bus. And I think I already did on the master out, yes. So here it is. So with no plugins, this is how it sounds. So, you know, it's just like a bit lackluster, you know, missing something. So initially I ran it through some overdrive, about 5 decibels of overdrive. So not only is that, you know, increasing the gain, but it's just giving it fullness and richness. Then some EQ. These resonances, I don't know, here are really dealing with some of the ding in the cowbell. There's like a in one of the cowbell things, which I'm just ducking out. That. So if I select all those and, you know, I can toggle them on and off, I think, yeah, you should hear that resonance coming through and back and. Yeah, just makes it a bit easier to listen to and means you can turn it up. Why not use Soothe? Soothe wasn't necessary because it's the same frequencies every time. You could have used Soothe for sure. It uses a lot of CPU Soothe as well. This does not. This uses hardly any. And Soothe is good when the notes are moving around because the resonances will move around. You know, if you sing then the resonances are going to go. But if it's just the same cowbell and the same notes every time, you can just notch those out with EQ. I don't think there's any reason to put Soothe on unless it's a more melodic part. A little bass boost and boosting some treble as well with the dynamic. You know, just bringing out the highs. Then it goes into an Ozone 9 imager, which is like a stereo enhancer. So if you're in headphones, you should really be able to hear this like get wider and closer, like when I bypass it. Here you go. Yeah, and it also just provides like an actual treble boost as well, because this button here, stereoize. I don't really know what it does, but it doesn't just widen. I think it adds in sound as well in a nice way, especially on the highs. Like I use this a lot. If I want to boost the highs and widen something like a shaker or a tambourine or even a reverb, like a shimmering reverb, I'll put stereoize on mode 2 and just crank that. I can't really tell you what it does, but I just know I like how it sounds. So yeah, that's a nice little stereo trick. Then we've got some more EQ. It's just doing not much really. Limiter. I mean, yeah, barely anything. I think it's literally just trimming the kick and the cowbell when they meet together, because it's pretty pokey, these transients here. You can see some of them are quite pokey, so that's more on there just in case. And then it's just sidechain compression and sending to some reverb or whatever. So that's the main sample. On top of that, kick drum comes in. Big kick, you've seen it before. Really short, punchy one. I think I automate this to get longer and shorter throughout the track. Yeah, see, so that's the length of the kick. So, God, text coming out. You can see here, like really short kick, and then more. So that just controls the length of the kick. Now we're in EDM mode. So yeah, really, really short punchy kick. And the reason for that is because of the insanely large bass line in this tune. Like, just did not need more than a like 100 hertz, just little reminder of the tempo. Like, all of the sub in this tune is coming from down here, and I'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, if you've basic rule, if you've got an insanely legato, constant long bass line, you do not need a kick going doom 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 over that as well. You know, the bass line in this song goes boom 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 boom. It's like constant. So you just need very short, clicky, punchy kick, in my opinion. You know, there's obviously no right or wrong, but in this case, there might be. So yeah, there's the top of the kick as well. That's it. Very, very simple, basic kick. Didn't need much more. Did the Cutline D&B kick come as an add-on with Big Kick, or did you load the sampling? I think it comes as an add-on. Yeah, you can get them all from Plugin Boutique. Yeah. All right, so that's the kick and the drum. What we got there? Little reverb build up. Yeah. All right, so on to the next stuff. Hi-hat. Just a very simple hi-hat part. Lots of reverb in this tune on many, many different parts. Yeah, there's a few things here I'm not using. I'm just going to get rid of. Cool. Yeah, nothing really happens in the drums until like the first drop. Oh, some shakers come in. Nice shakers, these ones. 3 actually. I can't remember where I got these from. I feel like I probably recorded 1 or 2 of these, and then another 1 or 2 as a sample. But yeah, as you can hear, they're all sort of a different frequency range. So one is more and one is more, and then they're panned left, right, and one down the middle. So that just, you know, covers a lot of shaker frequency range. If you're panning shakers left and right and they're the same shaker, you'll get like a bit of stereo-ness from obviously just the difference in the way it was played. But I find the best thing to do is left and right, 2 different shakers, or a shaker and a tambourine or whatever, and just gives you such a wider sound. Huge overdrive as well on shakers. I love to distort and overdrive the hell out of my shakers and tambourines. Just gives them so much fullness. I can show you the before and after of that effect. Just brings out all that nice like underneath, you know. There's some transient masters on here as well. Yeah, just tightening them up. Someone said, can you show your reverb? I guess you mean my bus reverb, because that's all I've talked about so far, and it's this. Using the B setting on the EMT 140, about a second's worth of reverb, rolling off 270 hertz. Got the EQ doing nothing, pre-delay a little bit, and some modulation. There you go. That's it. That's my go-to bus reverb as well. So most of my tunes are either that or Valhalla, but mostly that. I like to use Valhalla on individual tracks, and like a big plate reverb on the bus. Got some sweeping effects and some, you know, that kind of stuff. Nothing crazy. That is basically it for the drums until we get to the drop. So yeah, what happens at the drop? Yeah, some clicks and claps. This is quite cool. So those are all sending to bus 16. And bus 16 is clap verb, as you can see here. It's a Valhalla bright hall setting with some pre-delay, so it goes. And then, kind of interestingly, I've got a tremolo after it, which is making the reverb do 16th notes. So let me bypass this, and you'll hear the... So you hear that pre-delay going. If I take that to 0, it's gonna just crash. It's cool, but it's not as rhythmic, you know? And then give it a little bit of tremolo, and you have this weird... I don't know, just kind of interesting. It just makes everything glue together a bit more with the cowbell sample. It might sound better like in context, perhaps, with everything. So here's just the drums. You can hear that reverb really just shaking around. It's subtle, but... This is what it'd be like with no preverb. Just not as good. Yeah, I was just reverb's such a funny one because, you know, it can add so much space, but it can also add groove if you use it in the right way. Like pre-delay, I've talked about before on reverb, is so important because you can have a load of reverb, but you can sort of still have a dry vocal first, so it's like, hey, yeah. You know, it gives you all this option for space or clarity around your vocal. But if you're using it on claps, you know, you can really make it go like, or whatever rhythm you want to do. Like, I could push this loads, you know, and have like a quarter note. Try. Yeah, so nice little trick to add some more groove to your tune. If you want to have a load of reverb and space, you know, think about how it's adding groove, you know, not just how it's adding space. There's two elements to it, I think. Alec Milton, oi guy, how's it been? Good, mate. I think I hear a 909 hi-hat going up and down in pitch. Where's that idea come from? You might be right, mate. Let's have a look. So this will be in my battery folder. Yeah, not much going on in battery. I think it's what we got here. It looks to me like some 808 stuff. What's this? Oh yeah, there you go. You can actually hear it. So there's the 909. I have added that in within battery. Is it here? Yeah, if you look at the modulation section, LFO1 is controlling the pitch of that sound. So I can make it go crazy if you want. Turn it up here. It's going to go mad. Yeah, so the reason for that, for me, it makes it just feel a little bit more analog, like something's a bit wrong, you know, with the 909. Like it's just the pitch knob's a bit fucked or whatever. It just makes it feel a little bit less sample, 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 sample every time. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You know, a 909 traditionally does just hold its pitch. But yeah, I like to do that with ride cymbals and cymbals. Like A lot of people do it with pan, you know, maybe a ride cymbal slowly pans left and right. I like to do it with pitch too, sometimes even release, so it's like, so it just makes it all feel a bit more alive. That's the reasoning behind it. It's very subtle, but I'm glad you noticed, because usually that's like only the shit I notice, you know. What kind of tips for super ambient long reverb without getting muddy? Roll off the lows, definitely. If you want nice long reverb, but you don't want it to clash with stuff, usually the thing that's going to be clashing is the lows, so you can put a reverb and then a EQ after it and duck it out. Or, you know, some reverbs, most reverbs have an EQ built in these days. Like Valhalla, for instance, is a very affordable reverb plugin, and you see here it has an EQ where you can roll off some of that shit. That's what I would recommend. That's a 6-second reverb I'm using on whatever that was. So that's pretty long. Definitely rolling off the lows for that one. How many buses do you use? How do you use the buses? Per instruments or frequency? I don't have a go-to number. It's different for every song. On this song, I would say I mostly have a sidechain bus, a drum bus, a synth bus, a bass bus, a vocal bus, vocal effects bus, reverb bus, chorus effects, roto cabinet effects. So that's 9. Master effects bus, all vox bus, instrument all vox instrument bus. That's 12. And then I don't think I'm using some of the others, but they're just there as spares. So yeah, I would look, probably usually 10, I would say, would be my rough number, somewhere between 7 and 10, but for sure I've probably gone up to like 15, maybe 20. That would be a crazy song for a 20 bus tune. So yeah. How do I use them? I use them for grouping instruments together to then add plugins to multiple instruments at once. So for example, like here's the vocal bus, you know. There's all the vocals with their insane amount of plugins per channel. But the vocal bus has got soothe and a compressor and a couple other things going on to bring them all together. That's how I use them. Same with the drum bus, you know. Got all my instruments here, all going through this one thing. I think on Ableton it's called group tracks, right? Or group, a group or something? Yeah. On Logic it's called bus. So there's some of my buses that I'm using. But there is more. There's secret ones everywhere. Okay, I think that's probably it for the drums, unless you guys have any questions. Claps, I think that's all I didn't show, is the individual things. Clap. And clicks. That's all Hand Clap Studio. Yeah. Rim. Little rim shot. Tennis. And a clave. Oh, and he comes in now and again. Yeah. Clap reverb. Something else. Oh, reverse. There you go. So this is some reverse reverb on the clap. So what I did there is I would have recorded all the claps together with the reverb after, bounced that out to an audio file, flipped it round, and then put it here with as a little sort of lead up to the claps. So instead of just going, they're going. You get it? So just added a lot, I thought. Like without it, it just sort of, again, it was less rhythmic. It's a rhythmic choice for me, that sort of thing. That's without. With. Just makes it kind of flow and interact a little better, you know. God, man, you guys are obsessed with why is it 126.3? No one ever said it needs to be a round number, you know. It's just however it feels, whatever feels right. Like DJing as well now, like, you know, CDJs and stuff, they just tell you the speed. So it'll just say 1.126.3. You just nudge it down if you want it to be 126. I personally just felt like it needed a little boost. That's it. Okay, that's the drums. Any questions? I think when Pro QV versus Logic EQ, Logic has more character. Well, the reason I like Pro Q3 is because it has no character. It is like clean. It's like the cleanest EQ possible. The linear EQ setting on it you could argue has some character, but when you just want to make surgical adjustments and remove shit, I don't really want character. If I want character, I'll use a Neve EQ or an API or a Mag EQ4 or whatever that's called with the airband or something else, like something analog. The Pro Q3 I like because it doesn't have character. So and I believe the Logic one would have been built the same. The reason I use Pro Q3 and not the Logic one anymore is because the Pro Q3 has dynamic EQ built in, and it's so easy to have it all in one window. It also has like mid-side. It has the option to have an EQ band on the left speaker, or the right speaker, or the mids, or the sides, all in one window on one EQ. That's why I like it better than Logic's. But Logic's is fine. I would happily make a whole record with Logic EQ. In fact, I did. My first album is all Logic EQ. So, did you get the latest MacBook? No. Would you normally put a delay before reverb? Like a delay effect, you mean? Like ping pong delay? Yeah, I'd usually go delay into reverb so the delay is getting put in the same space as everything else. Otherwise, you're delaying reverbed sound. For me, it should be the other way. But there's no right or wrong. That's just usually what I do. Favorite delay plugin, H-Delay by Waves. Thoughts about split EQ? I don't know what that is actually. Not sure. Yeah, don't know. Are things sidechain to a kick only, or the entire drum bus? Well, I use this these little triggers up here for my sidechain, but it's doing the same pattern as the kick, but it's just a different noise. So like I've copy and pasted this MIDI file up here. Like there's no difference. The only difference is latency. Some of these are a bit behind, so like as you can see. Like these are a bit off grid, and that's to try and make up for some of the latency of the universal audio plugins. I can't be bothered to explain that again. I have done it before. But the reason I like to sidechain using a beep instead of a whole kick is because a kick is quite long. Sometimes if your kick's going doom, 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 your sidechain is going to be going, like it's going to be on longer than it's off. Whereas if you use a click or a beep, it's just going to go on, on, on. And then that gives you the ability to control the length of the sidechain with the release of the compressor. So my sidechain noise is this. So that's what's sending to all my sidechain compressors. And then I'm using the release on the compressor to adjust how long I want it. Yes, you can use LFO tool, but you'd have to do a shitload of automation for when you want LFO tool to stop and when you want it to start. I personally just know that my kick drum is what I want to do the sidechaining. So I use MIDI, because then I can just mute the MIDI notes when I want it to stop. Like, you know, say I didn't want any sidechain here, bang, it's not going to sidechain. It's just easier for me. All right. Have you tried the new Waves SSL? No, I haven't yet. I would definitely. Do you put Soothe on everything? I put it on my cereal and it tastes horrible. Yeah, Soothe for life would be good. Soothe when an ambulance goes by would be awesome. That'd be nice. Do you keep all your instruments in the same key? Well, yeah, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna. I don't know what key this song's in. Like, if it say this is in A, I'm not gonna have loads of instruments doing A sharp. I don't know what you mean. Do I care about keys? 100%. Yes. Is that the answer? I'm not sure. Where have you been, bruv? Just been about. Bruv. What's the first electronic tune you heard and made you want to make music? Oh, it would be like early dubstep, like Burial, Scream, Banger, Mala, Koki, that sort of thing. Can you tell us, what's up, Oroponic? Can you tell us about the artistic foundation of this track? Writing process, etc., specifically about the vocals and the wild little electric guitar fill before the drop. What's that? What's the electric guitar fill? I don't know what that bit is, but yeah, this song was started by me and my friend Andy, who goes by the name of Luxury. We started a few tunes for this EP together, and we've worked together in the past. Good friend of mine, went to school with him, and there was no premeditated idea for this tune. The beat is a pure, like, just throw stuff at it, see what happens, jamming around on synths, like Andy on the bass doing the Juno, me messing with the drum loops, chopping up some samples, and then the chords, I can't remember how the chords came around, but I'd need to check, like, because in the hidden tracks here, I've got some chords that are muted. Should we have a look at those? So that was Howard. So these came later. So me and Andy had the whole tune as a kind of instrumental rolling beat with no chords. Let me just unhide these. Oh. Sample idea. Yeah, there's a few hidden things here. Let me unhide them. So yeah, you can think of the idea of just let's make a club track. That was basically it. And then gave it to Howard as just a sort of drums, bass thing. And then he did those piano chords, but they were just a guide for the harmonies. And then Howard like demoed the harmonies, which we'll get to later. And I believe like the phrase "in my arms" is pretty much just probably about him missing his girlfriend. Simple as that. I don't think you need to read too deeply into it. It just says "I need you in my arms" over and over again. So yeah. Any input from Ruben on this one? No, I think this is purely me, Andy, and Howard. That's it. I'm going to come back to these bits later, actually, because these are like the leftovers of what didn't make it. So let's talk about what did make it. So we got these really cool chops here. Really trebly, like stabby chop. That's what it was before. Pretty damn loud. Some compression, tremolo, and then some H delay and reverb. There you go. Why you keep the bass track in stereo? Is there a mono sub driving it? I'll get to that in a bit. There's a little breath sample. I think that's all it does. Yeah. And then just a little like ooh-ee thing going on. Ah, nothing. Oh, right, yeah, that is doing these as well, I think. Yeah, so they kind of go in conjunction. You have to hear it all together for it to make sense. Yeah, and then things get a bit busier here. I just played this in. Let's go here. Yeah, and then there's, you know, a few fills here and there. Yeah, it's pretty intricate. This one. Yeah, I've tried to, again, just do my normal thing of like it barely ever loops around the same. There's always like a slight difference throughout the track. Go away. So I can't remember where. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, that's the kind of really, I guess it's quite techno almost. It's pretty moody, that bit. But when you put it with the drums, the rhythm of that is all sort of to sort of complement the percussion loop. So when you have those together, go from there. Yeah, so some really kind of underground, techie, hypnotic vibes. And so sticking with that hypnotic theme came the bass line. The bass line is very legato, very subby. I mean, just take a look at some of these waveforms, man. They're pretty sizable. I'm pretty sure this is the Juno. Let me have a listen and see if I can figure it out. But I'd be surprised if it was the Andromeda. It may have been, but who knows. No, it is the Andromeda. It is definitely the Andromeda. You can't do that wow wow sound. I don't recognize that as the Juno. Yeah, and you can hear how like not perfect that is, and that is because it's me and Andy kind of messing around with it. Haven't quantized it, I don't think. All I've done is tune. I had to nudge these notes down a semitone for Howard. He wanted to do a slightly different chord there, and yeah, originally the note was this. So yeah, that doesn't work. So nudge that down for him. Ooh. There you go. So that's it with all of its plugins. So let's turn the plugins off and see how different that sounds and see if it's crazy stereo. So yeah, as you can hear, it's very stereo and wide, and I just didn't think it needed that. I mean, it's not that great to have sub stereo anyway. I don't think there's too much of it going on, but either way, I brought it all down by about 70%. So here's our before, here's after. So you can see it's just put it right in the middle. It's still a little bit stereo, but not enough to worry about any phasing issues or whatever. Then some overdrive. But you can hear that buzz on top, that kind of zzz, that's just all like, it's basically buzz from the synth. The Andromeda itself, I think, was kind of buzzy that day, but because it's such a long legato part, it just sounds like it's kind of part of the sine wave. Sorry, part of the, what is this? Square wave? I don't know. Yeah, mono is your friend for bass mostly, especially in the low sub end of things. So that's why the direction mixer is there. I am rolling off quite a bit of sub too, because it's just so mega, like so intense. And I'm also boosting this stuff. Just bringing out those high, like, clicky details. So yeah, I love those, like, those da-dum could so easily have been dum da-dum 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 da-dum, but then instead of going like dum da-dum 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 dum dum, like they're so out of time, but I love them because when it's being sidechained, that kind of glues it in anyway and brings it all together. But it's just such a fucking raw track, man. Like, there was no way I was ever going to quantize that or you know, make it better, because it's just sick. I love it like that. Yeah, there you go. Next up, Decapitator, punish mode. Really light amount of here though. I mean, look at that. That's nothing, and it's probably on like 10%. So let's see what that's doing. It's just literally adding a tiny bit of high-end saturation. So what I'm doing with this too is I'm actually automating it throughout the track. So you see here these rises and falls. That's the wet and dry knob of the Decapitator. Because we recorded the audio in of this synth, I didn't then have the ability to go back and increase the cutoff or the resonance or anything like that. You know, it was just, we got one good take and then Andy left, and then I was like, shit, I really wish I could build the bass up like in some of these breakdowns. You know, how can I make it be like usually you have so much control with the plugin, or if you've got the fucking synth right there. But I only got into I only had the idea to start automating it towards the end. So I thought I'll put overdrive on it and just run it really hard, and I'll use that as a kind of way of pretending like I'm releasing the cutoff. So, you know. I actually think it worked really well. I think it's actually got kind of a bit more character than like if you were doing the cutoff. It's a bit different, you know, just having massive amounts of saturation coming in and then coming down. I'm also dipping like the volume here. It just adds so much tension. I love it. I think I would if I could go back and choose between cutoff and the overdrive, I'd still pick the overdrive thing every day because it's just mega. Don't know why it's all not playing. Play! Yeah, that fucking... You know, there's a bunch of ways you could have done it. You could make it so intense. You know, just depends how crazy you want to go. I felt like it was very early on in the tune, and so just a subtle little tease of it was cool, and then you know, it comes back later and it does some other, it goes really crazy here, I think. Yeah, so there you go, another little tip. Saturation overdrive as substitute for cutoff if you don't have the ability to go back and change your synth like I didn't here, because you know, it's just a big file of chopped up synth. We have got an imager on there as well. Oh, here you go. Yeah, so I am actually monoing the sub in this imager here. So by the time it gets to the imager, it is actually... See that? So it is a little bit stereo still, the sub, and I noticed that. So if you turn that on, now we got dead mono sub. And it's cool, this plugin, because it also gives you the ability to boost and subtract the stereo. So the highs, I'm boosting heavily, and yeah, again, if you're in headphones, you should be able to hear that. Here's none. Down the middle. really subtle. Like if anything, it's like the buzziness and the bit crushiness of the synth is what's being pushed out. But you know, it's all helping. So we've gone from stereo everything to slightly more in everything to mono bass to pushing out the highs really wide. So probably not the wisest path to choose, but it totally works. There's so many other ways you could have done it. You could put an EQ as the first thing and roll off the bass, and just have that set as the sides. So you could just take all the sub out the sides. That's one way of doing it. Probably faster as well. But I genuinely didn't want it to be as stereo, like the whole bass. So that's why I used the direction mixer to just slightly mono it all before then fully monoing the bass. Anyway, it's then going through a limiter, which I'm not really sure why. Yeah, it is just taking off a few of those moments, but very light, not really doing anything. It is also getting pushed through a Logic chorus too, so without it, it's going to be way more mono. So that again, that's adding in some of that stereo, high frequency stereo stuff. Like it's not putting the sub through the chorus, it's just putting the raspiness of it through the chorus, especially in these moments, you know. That's with maximum chorus. Here's none. Here's with. Mega. All right, that's it with the bass. Any questions about the bass specifically? I'll do more general questions at the end. We've got to do the vocals next, and then I've probably only got about 20-30 minutes left. Which chorus was that? It's just Logic's own stock chorus plugin. It's there. No questions. That's all good. Must have explained it really well. I see you rolled off the sub on the bass. Do you do the same with kicks or on the master? I don't usually roll off sub on the master because I like to address those issues before it gets to the master, like long before. So no, but yeah, I definitely roll off bass on kick drums. Not this time, but yeah, usually with an acoustic kick for sure. I think this one you'll find, yeah. So this kick drum here is just doing this. So I'm rolling off loads. Just depends what I need from the kick, you know. I've got two kicks in this tune. One doing the punch, and one doing the top end. So, you know, roll off where appropriate. The bass definitely needed rolling off because it's fucking massive. So quite a lot going off there. You can just see down here there's some stuff, you know. Let's take it off and have a look. This is pure, just like the speaker's just going to be doing that, you know. It's not even going to be making a note. Yeah, just you don't need that stuff down there. So I just rolled it off a bit and just gaining it down. Bit of control. I didn't know if the 25 hertz stuff from the kick messes with anything. Yeah, it does if there's stuff there, but like with big kick, it's a synth kick, right? So I know there's nothing down there. If I'm recording a bass drum or an acoustic kick of some kind, or I'm like, you know, just making one somehow, ripping one off a vinyl, 100% I would roll off everything below like 30, maybe 40. Can you audibly tell the difference between natural phase in Pro Q or normal? Yeah, you definitely can. It's a bit tighter. Tightens it up, I think, in natural phase. You can definitely tell the difference with linear EQ and normal. Very different characters. How often do you use a separate sub for your bass? Not that often, no. I usually just use an old school like vintage synth plugin or my Juno, and that'll be that. I have done before, for sure. Like if I need a sine wave underneath a bass that I feel like's lacking in energy, yeah, I'll put one in. But not often. Probably 1 in every 30 ideas that I make, if that. Is there a sidechain on the bass? Yeah. That compressor there is on the bass bus, as you can see. I'll give you a little play of that. You can see that going up and down. You don't like using plugins like Kickstart LFO tool on the bass line? No, I don't. I just use the kick drum with a compressor on it. Maybe I'm old school, I don't know. If it ain't broke. 430 in the track. Where's that? Where's 430? Here? What happens at 430? Oh, maybe this is probably wrong, actually, this time code. You probably mean in the real track. I don't know. When you have the kick short and gives the bass the sub on the downbeat, like the sub kick, is given by the sidechain on the bass. Dude, what? I don't know what you just said. I just don't know what you said. When you have the kick short, the bass gives the sub. Yes. The sub on downbeat, like the sub kick, is given by the sidechain on the bass. I don't know, man. Sorry. Maybe it's a language barrier or something. I think you're saying, like, is the kick subby enough when it pushes the sidechain bass out the way? I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know. Are you maybe talking about having one long kick on beat 1 and then short ones on 2, 3, and 4, and then the bass filling in the gap? It sounds like you want there to just be maximum amount of sub all the time, whether it's from the kick or the sub. I just don't really care that much about that, you know. Some people like huge long kick drums, like, you know, Deadmau5 uses a lot of like doo, doo, doo. Eric Prydz as well, you know. The kick is like much more of like what's driving the sub of the track. With me, my kick is, I use it much more sparingly, like much more like a punchy thing. I like old school garage, you know, I like UK garage. And old UK garage, sometimes the kick drum is barely even hitting 100 hertz. It's just this little like, and then the bass line underneath is what's giving you all of that like chest feeling. So depends. If you're going for a really 4/4 housey track, you might want like a nice long kick. It's subjective. It's whatever the tune needs. There is no, here's the answer to that one. I think that was your question. I'm not really sure. All right, that's enough of the bassline chat. Shall we get on to the vocals, guys? The main part of the song. Here we are down here. We got a lot of vocals to get through. I will start you off by just sort of playing them. Maybe I'll bypass the reverb and stuff, and you can give it a good listen. There's a filter as well doing something, I think. Maybe. Yeah, bypass that. Need you in my arms. I need you in my arms. There you go. So that's Howard on these tracks, I believe, and then let me get it so you can see it, and then the choir is on the blues and the greens below. Yeah, lots to go through. So it's how many part harmony we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like a 5 with the occasional 7 part harmony, I think. Maybe 6. So I've got plugins everywhere here. Check it out. So, yeah, I'll break it down for you. So I've and take off all the plugins on the bus. So now it sounds like this. Need you in my arms. And so, yeah, let me show you. The plugins aren't that different across the board here. I've pretty much copy and pasted them and just slightly tweaked the EQ depending on which voice it was. So here's the first voices. Need you in my arms. So that's Howard. Just so you can see what's going on each one. So here's a raw Howard vocal with nothing. So first up, he's going through a LA2A, Silverface. Need you in my arms. So that's a compressor, and it also adds a lot of saturation and shine. And I love the Silverface one. It's for me, it adds air and treble somehow. Like it sort of compresses the mids and the lows, but somehow leaves the highs a little bit, or I don't know how it does it, but for me, especially when you have like 8 in a row all going together, by the end of it, it makes a huge difference. Let me see if I can bypass. Yeah, so here's 2-part harmony. So you hear that dynamic, is really popping through. It's going to control that volume, but it should sparkle it up a bit as well. Need you in my arms. Here it is with the compressors. Need you in my arms. Nice. Next up, we have Mag EQ. I am boosting 2.5 kilohertz, just a little bit by 1 dB, and I'm boosting 10k hertz by like 5 dB. So this is what I'm looking for here, this air band here. I actually have one of these in real life. They're amazing. I've got one of these on every single channel, and it's doing all of the treble boost in this tune. Here it is without. Need you in my... Here it is with. Need you. Oh. Here it is with. Need you in my... So it's just putting in all that nice, you know. Up next, we have a Surfer EQ, really sick plugin. Similar to Soothe, but it's less for resonances and more for like the actual note, the fundamental note of what you're trying to EQ. So, say you wanted to make a vocal have a little bit less low mids, but it was a very wide-ranging vocal. So if it started, and it also sung, you know, you're going to dip the frequencies here, and as that note moves up, it's going to increase in volume. Well, what this does is it sticks to the note and moves around. It surfs the note, Surfer EQ, so check it out. Need you in my arms. I need you. Isn't that really clever? I love that plugin. It's so smart how it just sort of sticks to the note, moves around. You can have like up to 5 different notes and frequencies being pushed around. So that's one thing I've adjusted on each track is, you know, they're not doing the same thing because the notes are different per harmony. So here's 2. You got harmony 1 and harmony 2. Need you in my arms. My graphics is taking a hit on that. But yeah, really, really smart EQ. There's a few versions of this kind of thing now, but this was one of the early versions. I think I've had that plugin for about 4 or 5 years, perhaps. Really good. Highly recommend. Then we're going into some Gem Dopamine. This is a treble booster / compressor. Need you in my arms. Just again adding more like, you know. Need you. Then a de-esser. So just pretty much taking out the S of arms. Need you in my arms, I guess. Need you in my arms. Yeah, there you go. Just that one little, just squashing it a tiny bit to make it a little bit less trebly on the ears. And then this is where I can't be bothered to show you all of this, but on every track, you know, I'm going to have slightly different EQ, like slightly different amount of resonance taken out of that one, slightly different low. It's all depending on the harmony part, is all I need to really say, I think, because you guys know how to EQ vocals by now. So yeah, that's all that's happening there. And then I've got some more overdrive. What's this? Warm tube. So I've just put like a tube plug-in to emulate the vocal going through some more like nice tasty transistors and tube and whatever. So I'll just go through the harmonies one by one so you can hear how crazy Howard built this thing up, because it's pretty impressive stuff, man.
I need you in my
Next one.
I need you in my
Listen to this man. Listen to him go.
Need you in my
Go on, bro. Get it. Next one. Play.
I need you in my arms.
4.
I need you in my arms.
4 soft. Let me show you 3 and 4, because they're the crazy ones. These are seriously dissonant.
I need you in my arms.
Isn't that mad? Like, on its own, I think we can all agree that sounds like dog shit. Like, it's actually horrible.
I need you in my arms.
Crazy. We've got a little gap here. That shouldn't be happening. Too late. Already bounced it. Already released it.
In my arms.
There's so many semitones and seconds and like fourths and just weird stuff going on. It's one of those harmonies where you need all the information for it to work together, or it's like pretty objectively wrong, like a wrong note, you know. As soon as you start to add in the fundamental note and like the thirds and the fifths and the more traditional notes you'd use in a harmony, it all sort of makes sense.
I need you in my arms. I need you in my arms.
There you go. I'll take out all the hard ones and just leave the soft ones, see if that makes it sound.
I need you in my arms.
That's like very medieval sounding, like just fifths, you know.
I need you.
That's probably my favourite one. If I had to pick like the best of the bunch, it would be the I need you. That is so sick, man. Like, that's probably my favourite harmony Howard's ever done. It's a big claim. It's a big claim, actually. He's done a lot of good harms, but that one is definitely up there, and specifically that bit. Like, if I take out that third one there, it just loses all of its glidey magic, in my opinion.
I need you.
It almost sounds quite happy, you know, because that one's really doing the dissonance. That's doing the na 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 na. So
I need you in my arms.
it's almost like more triumphant and like happy and more like energetic. And then with this one, it just takes it dark, like with one harmony.
I need you in my arms.
Very sick. Yeah, really, really happy with those. Good one, Howard. We still actually have lots more to go. So this bit at the end only happens every other time. And these are the crazy arms that he put at the end. So arms for your harms. Here you go. So that's Howard and the choir. So you're beginning to hear the choir now. So that's is Howard's part. Faded that one because it had a dodgy start, but didn't miss it. Can't remember why I did that actually. And then yeah, this is where you start to hear the tracks with the choir. So here's the ladies. Pretty damn high. And then the choir are pretty much they're just copying what Howard is doing. So what we did is we sent a MIDI file, that piano file I showed you earlier, of the way that the harmonies move, and then Patrick, who's the conductor of the choir, he decided who should sing which melody and who should sing what part, and we sent them Howard's stems as well individually, and they sent back these.
Need you in my arms.
Just nice, like thicker texture, you know.
Need you in my arms.
These ones.
Need you in my arms. Need you in my arms. I need you in my arms.
So dissonant, I love it.
Need you in my arms.
There you go. That is a hell of a lot of harmonies for 3 words, basically. Oh wait, need you in my arms. 5 words. Here it is, all together, choir, harmonies, Howard, everything.
Need you in my arms.
First thing it's going into is soothe. So the reason I'm using soothe this time and not like a pro Q or something is because the notes are all moving around. So this is the time where, you know, it actually does need soothe. Surfer EQ doesn't work as well on polyphonic sounds. It works really well on monophonic sounds because it can follow the notes, but if you've got more than one instrument and they're doing slightly different notes, it freaks out and it doesn't know what to do. So I recommend not doing that. Soothe.
Need you in my
That's what it's taking away.
I need you.
Really getting a lot of that like need, the is really the thing that's getting ducked.
Need you in my
Next up, we're going through a compressor. I used the Pro C2 for this. Reason being, it's really clean plugin. I didn't want to add any more distortion and saturation at this point. I thought it had plenty, so I've even got it on the clean style. It does have some like options to do more like vintagey style stuff. So, but yeah, for the cleanest one, you want clean, or mastering would be pretty clean as well, I'd imagine. I've got the oversample on +2 as well, so it's working twice as hard as normal, and really just finessing those vocals. It's very subtle and very light.
Need you in my arms. I need
Really slow release as well, like 600 millisecond release. So when it says arms, the S's just get like pulled up and the breaths are a bit louder. But we're only doing -3 decibels here, you know, of
Need you in my arms.
just really lightly pulling them down, and then the arms. I need you. Yeah, just letting the breaths and everything come out a little bit more. Then I've got a gem dopamine on the master, on the bus as well. So there's one of these on every single vocal channel, and then one on the stereo bus too. And I'm pushing it pretty hard. I really wanted these vocals to shine, like, and have so much top end. So I'm just using every trick in the book to try and do that. You know, shiny LA2A compressor, the Mag Pro Q, whatever it's called, gem dopamine, Saturn as well. Even the Saturn I've got is on tube setting, I think, which also adds treble. I'm basically just pushing these trebly vocals to the absolute maximum to, you know, they're the most amazing part of the tune, I think. So they've just got shine, and there's so much hi-hats and shakers and stuff going on, they have to like rise above it. So
Need you in my
big difference, right?
arms. I need you in my
You can just really feel that like that sizzle just come up. So that's why that's there. Then the whole lot is going through an Oxford inflator, which is, well, if you're wearing headphones, you should be able to hear what this is doing. It's adding like a stereo-ness, a richness, like a little bit of shine as well. Again, there you go.
Need you in my arms. I need you in my arms. Need you in my arms. I need you.
Yeah, so it's boosting the gain quite a lot. Don't focus on that too much. It's really like the sound and like what it's doing to the sound is what I love the most about that plugin. It's so clever. The characteristics it adds is sick. I put it on the master out. I put it on buses. I put it on individual vocals sometimes. Great plugin. Finally, we've got a Pro Q3 just rolling off some lows, and I've got that in linear phase mode. So yeah, that's more like a master EQ. Just taking out some low mids. I thought it was a bit too rumbly.
Need you.
And there's a lot of shit down here as well that I don't know what it's doing, but yeah.
Need you in my arms.
Yeah, it's more of a safety thing, to be honest. That's not really doing much. It's very subtle. Cool. Where else is that now going? So then, yeah, what happens is this has actually got two buses, this vocal. So all of those channels you just saw, all of the individual vocals, blah, 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 they all go to bus 15, which is what I just showed you. Bus 15 with soothe, compressor, and blah, blah. And then that is also going through another bus, bus 21, where we go again on more stuff. So first up is the filter. I'm using Pro Q3 as a filter. So as you can see, it sort of just brings them up from down here. And that just slowly rises throughout the song, you know, blah, 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 up it goes, up it goes. Nothing crazy there. A little ducking of resonances as well. I think I felt like Soothe wasn't quite doing enough, so I just pulled a little bit more down in that area. It's going through an Echo Boy to begin with.
Need you in my arms.
Everything's automated. Oh, there you go. You can hear it if I stop the track.
Need you.
So that's on quarter notes. You. Then we're going through another delay, and this is ping pong stereo delay. So that first Echo Boy is just mono down the middle, just you, and now this one's going to be doing some sides.
Need you.
Hear that?
Need you.
So you got one going yip, and then one going yip, around the sides. So nice difference. Nothing wrong with doing 2 delays, sometimes 3, sometimes even 4 if you want to go crazy. There is no rules. You can do whatever you bloody want. Then we're going through some lovely Valhalla vintage verb. I've got it on the now setting. I find the now setting has the most high end and like the most George Michael feel. George Michael older is a reference for me that I think about all the time with reverb, because I think that album is the best celebration of reverb ever made, in my opinion. So this concert hall setting on the now with the highs turned all the way up gives you the most kind of that you can possibly get on the Valhalla stuff anyway. So
Need you.
I'll put it on full. That's the sound of the reverb that I've got.
Need you in my arms.
So yeah, as you can see, I've got quite a lot of automation on the bus of these effects. My computer's really starting to struggle. We are automating the volume, we're automating the mix of one of the delays, we're automating the feedback of one of the delays, and the volume of the delays and reverb. So there's a lot going on in automation land in this song. And remember, I'm automating all the vocals together here. So this is almost like I'm DJing the effects across the whole vocals. So the most important bit is the drop, because that's when the feedback kicks in, and I'm using the Echo Boy to do this. So that's, you know, that's the climax of the tune. Everything builds, reverb goes up, H delay goes up, Echo Boy starts self-oscillating and starts feedbacking. It goes to 100% wet and the volume comes up. So I'm just like riding those effects with the drop. So here it is.
I need you in my
So yeah, that just arms just stays with all of it. What else we got on there? Oh, sidechain. So yeah, on the drop, the feedbacking delay starts to get sidechained. So it's, you know, you'll see here. Still going, still going. Yeah, everything's a bit out of sync. Sorry, visuals and audio not aligning. Finally, with these vocals, I am sending them all to a bit of chorus, bit of Logic chorus effect, my favorite. Let me put that back to normal. Group those down. Better. Yeah, sending to Logic chorus just for a bit of extra width. Come on, laptop.
Need you in my arms.
So yeah, that was me putting it on full, so not that full. And then I'm also sending it to Logic's Roto cabinet as well, just a little bit, like maybe 20%.
Need you in my arms.
So yeah, those are my two like go-to modulation effects for vocals are Roto Cab and Logic Chorus. Okay, that is every part of the song that we've, I think now. It's very simple. Drums, bass, vocals. There's not even any synths. So yeah, not loads to see here. The chords were written on synths, obviously. Here is the demo, sort of Howard's initial idea. Did I already show you these? Probably did, yeah. So that's the demo chords. Here you go. I can show you the chords to In My Arms. These are what the harmonies are doing. Lovely, and then that's the bass line part underneath. Can you show the monotribe? Yes, sorry, I didn't see that there. Monotribe. Monotribe, I would have just jammed that out, you know, like I usually do. Let me put it on large waveform. Yeah. I mean, not much to see. I think it's all pretty much one take, you know. I think maybe I did 2 takes, and then I sort of went back and just A-B'd which bit I liked, but it's pretty much it goes throughout the whole song. So yeah, I just did a couple passes very quickly, didn't overthink it, just threw in my favorite bits. Here's a big one. Yeah, there you go. Adding build-ups and texture. I like to do my own build-ups if possible, not just drag in any old riser from Splice. Nothing wrong with that. I like to sort of do both, like drag in something from Splice and then layer in like my own little build-uppy thing on top of that. In fact, that is exactly what I've done. Look, these are from Splice here, these little sweeps. They're just white noise sweeps, and then I've layered it up with the monotribe underneath. Yeah. Haunting synth. That's what I wanted to show you guys. This was a part that Andy played in. Oh man, I love this sound so much. For the longest time, I was trying to persuade Howard if we could leave this in, but it didn't work with the chords that he wrote, like with the harmonies, and they became such a like important part of the tune that we just we had to scrap it in the end. I tried tuning it once and making it work with the harmonies because I thought it added a really cool texture. But it got sacked in the end, unfortunately. It's really cool though. I'll play it with the track. I'll have to mute the harmonies though. Shit. Take those off. Yeah, this is how it went. It's so sick, man. Yeah, Lee's got it right. It makes it major. But why I like it, though, is because it makes it major, but not happy in any way. It makes it really, like, even more evil and, like, weird and mysterious and haunting, which is, like, you'd expect you'd have to go minor to achieve that. But, it, like, there's something really sneaky and, like, kind of weird about the major. So, yeah, maybe this needs to be the VIP. Maybe I just need to, like, mute the vocals and just have that haunting synth ride through, and this could be a VIP version or something, haunting version, I don't know. But yeah, I was sad to lose that part because texturally it added so much for me. Took it to some like a really dark, weird place, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The vocals really took over in terms of what mattered. Pitch vocal. That was a Howard attempt at a chopped vocal before he did the harmonies, or was it to go alongside the harmonies? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, cool. I Need You in My Arms, little chop, Todd Edwards style thing. I just personally didn't like that, so didn't make the cut. I thought his harmonies and the group thing was way cooler. Just didn't need it on the drop. But that is definitely Howard singing. Yeah, it's got pitch correction on there. Let me turn that off.
I need you in my arms, 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 I need you in my arms.
Yeah, maybe there's a VIP to be had here. I'll go back in and maybe finish that choppy chop thing and put the haunting synth back in, mute the vocals. It's not a bad shout, you know. It's not a bad shout. I'm always looking for extra special things for the DJ set, so maybe that's one of them. Okay, last but not least is my master bus chain, and then I've already run over loads, which always happens. So let me get on with that. That's not doing anything. We can get rid of that. It's the same thing as always, guys and girls. Nothing new here, except for my MacBook barely making it. We have SSLG bus. Here's what that's doing. Tape. Getting pretty loud now. We got some Drama, which is like another multi-band compressor. There you go, there's everything. So I will bypass all of those. Here it is without. And here's with, and I'll try and toggle between. Oh. Yeah, I might have to play it without Soothe, because Soothe's going to be the culprit here, so I'll take Soothe off. Oh, actually, no, it might not be the culprit. It might be, I've probably got this on linear, very high, yeah. I'll have to just not have the EQ, but on the master EQ, I'm boosting 40 hertz, which is like the fucking really low bassy sub note. I'm just giving that an extra dB. I'm actually boosting like the high mids a little bit by 1 dB and then just backing off the super highs by half a dB. I probably would have sent this for mastering bypassed and just sort of shown that to Stuart as a guide of what I was thinking, like little bass boost, little roll off of the highs, little boost of the mids, and then he would have done it on his fancy gear. But that was what I was thinking, you know, after a few months of listening to it. Well, not months, a few weeks of listening to it. But let me take that off because that is going to be destroying my CPU. Here's the plugins. Yeah, this might be the end, to be honest. It's really struggling.
Money.
Yeah. I think it's been decided that I can't show you it with all the plugins on, but that's fine. You can just listen to the mastered version. Oh, no, it's fine. So they're just adding like so much fatness and fullness and just rounding the whole thing off in a... It just sounds like a lot more glued together. They're gluing stuff, you know. For me, without these master plugins, the kick's poking out a bit, the bass line's wobbling around a bit. It's just not quite all together. Yeah, that for me just sort of says finalized, done, put it in the car. That's why I like those plugins working like that. Rest in peace, computer. Yeah, tell me about it. Do you send all your songs to mastering? I do, yes. I get them mastered by Stuart Hawkes at Metropolis, which was, I think the link above is right there. But I don't send them off. I usually go. I usually take them with me, and I sit down with Stuart and we listen to a bunch of music, and we listen. I play him a few like influences, like of stuff I think this should sound like. Like I definitely played him that Midland song I was talking about earlier, Archive, as a guide, and we just sit there and have a play. Are your songs mastered in Dolby Atmos now? Yeah, some of them are. Yeah, I'm getting there with that. It's so annoying. I have to send off all the stems to get them remastered in Atmos, and I want to do it, but I don't have time, and yeah. Guy, these streams have changed my life. Moved from Scotland to Brighton to study production and business. It's because seeing you geek out ignited a passion in me too. Getting your logo tattooed on my leg. I owe you a pint. See you on the main stage. Sick. Nice one, Jack. Respect, mate. If I had my stream deck, I'd give you a round of applause. That's awesome. Really, really pleased to hear that the streams have been helping. They've definitely... yeah, they've definitely... I'm getting recognised in the street more often these days, and it's not because I'm in Disclosure, it's because I'm doing these streams, which is crazy. I never thought that, you know, I never thought I'd get recognised more in the street from being like a production guru than just being in Disclosure, but for sure it's happened. And it's lovely, like people on the street come up to me all the time and just say thanks a lot for doing the streams, and it's great, man. I'm really appreciate it. I just tried to gift you a stream, Jack, but it gift you a sub, but it failed. I don't know why. Let me try one more time. I think it's because Logic was shutting down. I think I have to like link my PayPal. Let's see if someone gifts you a sub before I can. Someone give that man a sub. Yes, it's taking ages. I'll get back to you. Someone please give that man a sub. I'll pay you back. All right, I'm going to have to go soon, guys. Let me change back to this screen. Hey. How long... Yeah, a few questions. How long did it take you to make the track? Wrote it in like a very late evening in Essex, the countryside of the UK.